criminal defense attorney Patrick McDonough. Patrick, great to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're also a former district attorney, so
Right.
I want to ask you to approach this from a prosecutorial standpoint. If you're the prosecutor, where we are in this trial, what would you be doing at this point to really craft your case to make sure the jury has a good understanding of who committed this crime and how it occurred, please?
Well, I think the real failure on both sides, probably more in the defense than the state, is they have not been as clear with the theory of their case.
Yes.
It seems a little bit like the state is kind of throwing it up. Here's all the facts, and maybe at closing, I'll decide to tie this all together. A real effective attorney, whether it's on the prosecution or the defense, they have the theory of their case and they tell their story from the beginning at voir dire all the way through the case. So what's a little confusing from the prosecution and what they should be tying up is that really McNabb is the one who intentionally did this, but on Bell's side, because of the meth use, because of the house, because of abandoning the child, that was negligent and that she was responsible for the second degree. And they don't seem to be clear on that theory. Worse on the defense side, but even the state side, it doesn't seem like they're really throwing an exact story. And the jury wants a story, right? They want to understand it.
Yes. I think just in general, as people, we want to hear stories. We want to know what the real story is. And the jury is looking for the truth. They're looking to find the truth. As you know this, they're fact finders in this matter. And if it's not a clear picture, it's not up for them to guess as to what the truth is. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to play a soundbite for you now, Patrick. Let's take a look at this interview. This is something that Courtney Bell said, and we'll continue discussing, please. Let's look.
So my baby mom was like, go back there and check on Louisa. So I got up, and as soon as I got halfway down the hallway, I seen her in the meeting. There wasn't nothing in it. I went on ahead and went in there to make sure. Well, the first thing I noticed was that she wasn't there. So I was like, oh my God, I started freaking out. You know what I mean? I'm thinking that my little girl's gonna pick her up. She got a bad habit of picking her up and trying to carry her around.
All right, I know it can be a little muffled if that was tough for you to hear at home. Christopher McNabb was talking about the potential involvement of his 2-year-old. This is his 2-year-old daughter, Clarissa, possibly picking up a baby, Kalia, saying that the 2-year-old has a habit of picking things up, carrying them around. Maybe she carried the baby. Who knows if this is part of the prosecution's theory, but I want to go back to that with you, please, Patrick, because something that's very important in this case is the burden rests with the prosecution. Defense has no obligation to put on any evidence. You know this very well. And if they aren't being clear as to who did what exactly, the jury could acquit.
Sure, there's no question. And again, it goes back to that story. They need to be very clear that, look, this is what we have, and they need to highlight the problems where he's talking about in past tense that the child, you know, that he loved the child, and he's talking about the meth use and all of that, and they need to make sure they focus on that. But really on the defense side, and I think there was some discussions earlier, like, are they really trying to blame it on the 2-year-old, right?
Right.
The same thing on the defense side, and even more so. I mean, if you are Bell, you've got to be having the theory of your case early on in voir dire.
Yes.
I would be asking questions like, have you ever been a victim of domestic violence? Have you known a family member who's been a victim of domestic violence? Do you know someone who's been a victim of addiction? Here's Bell's key, if she was really trying to win this case.
Please.
Is think about this. We all raise our children. We're all worried about drug abuse and all those types of things.
Sure.
But every person who has a child that ends up with drug abuse, they think it's because they hung around the wrong person. And from early, what Bell's defense team should have been doing is saying, look, I'm the victim. I've been abused. He's the one who led me into this drug life. He's the one who led me here, and separating herself from McNabb.
Right.
And right now, it's just like, well, maybe they won't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Again,
Right.
it goes back to telling the story, and it starts at voir dire, and it goes through every witness.